10 wholesome facts about the Great Barrier Reef and the animals on the Great Barrier Reef. So when I go in the water, I see all the cutest things and I want to share them with you right now. So fact number 1, the reef is built on friendships between different animals. It's called a symbiotic relationship. That means that two animals work together to benefit each other. A good example of this is clownfish and their anemones. So clownfish will take shelter in the anemone and even protect the anemone, and the anemone in turn also protects the clownfish and keeps them safe from bigger predators. So super cute. Then you've also got cleanoras, which are little fish that will go inside other fish's gills and to pick up all the parasites from those fish. And that's another friendship between two species, because the cleanoras gets a nice cheeky meal, and it can be any species of fish, from a parrotfish to a tiger shark. Those little cleanoras get food, and the other fish, they get deparasitized. That's another word I just made up. Cool. All right. Fact number 2. Sea turtles can hold their breath for up to 8 hours, which means in the past I've seen sleeping turtles on a night dive, and they have their favorite beds. So when I went on night dives, there was the same sea turtle in its same little bed the whole night. Super cute. I love it. Fact number 3. White-tip reef sharks prefer to sleep in groups rather than by themselves. They do this for protection because they are a fairly smaller shark, but also maybe they do it for company as well, because I think that's super cute, and I like to think that they've just got a whole bunch of bros just, guys, it's time for bed. Okay, it's bedtime. Yeah, cool, let's all go to bed now. All right, and they all just go in this big puppy pile, and it's the cutest thing you'll ever see. Fact number 4. You'll have the baby fish will look very different to the adult fish in quite a number of species on the Great Barrier Reef. So have a look at this video here. This fish is actually the juvenile species of this fish here. Crazy, right? Sometimes they do that because when they're smaller, they're more vulnerable, and they're going to mimic another species that might be venomous or poisonous to eat. So they protect themselves whilst they're babies, and then when they grow up, they're too big to get eaten by bigger fish or the fish that they were worried about in the past. Fact number 5. Corals spawn once a year under a full moon. So the only time the corals really get down and dirty is under a full moon, one night every year. Pretty hectic. Fact number 6. The Great Barrier Reef actually protects us from cyclones. So they are a natural barrier between the cyclone forming out at sea and then hitting the land. Unfortunately, that can damage the reef quite substantially, but it does protect us and mitigate the damages of big cyclones and protects us. So that's awesome. Thank you, Great Barrier Reef. Fact number 7. Sharks are super important for the Great Barrier Reef, as they pretty much clean up the reef. You know how if you walk through a street and it's got piles of rubbish rotting everywhere, and you've got all these like sick animals over there, you're like, ew, I don't like that, that's gonna make me sick. Well, it's very similar for the oceans. So sharks will clean up diseased animals, so they'll eat them, and they'll also eat decaying carcasses, so prevents disease and really keeps the reef nice and healthy. So thank you, sharks, for being the real bros. Healthy reefs mean healthy fish on your dinner plates too. So you can thank the sharks for the pristine meals that we can get out of the ocean. Fact number 8. Corals are actually animals that rely on a plant to survive. So the little polyps in a coral are animals, and in those little polyps, they invite an algae to come into their cells and photosynthesize like a plant. That is, again, another friendship on the reef that we mentioned in fact number 1. And they also have a hard skeleton like a rock. So technically, a coral is both an animal that has a plant in it that has a skeleton of a rock. How confusing, but they are most certainly an animal first and foremost. Fact number 9, parrotfish will actually make their own sleeping bag every night. They do this by vomiting up a bunch of mucus to sleep in. Ew. But they do this to make sure that their scent and their electrochemical signals get blocked so they won't get eaten by sharks, so they can have a good night's sleep on the reef. How cute is that? They protect themselves, and that way the next day they can go on to fact number 10. Parrotfish will eat all the algae around the corals, and then they'll poop out sand, because all the sands around here are all contributed by parrotfish pooping, and parrotfish poop a lot. If you've ever dived around parrotfish, you've seen the poop, and I have most certainly swam through parrotfish poop because it was unavoidable. Cool. So that was 10 wholesome facts about the reef. Thank you everyone for watching. It was an absolute joy to share my joy with you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until the next one, bye bye.